and welcome to the InFocus series of Drishti IAS. I am Ritu and today's session is about biodiversity COP16, and this session is important for your GS 3 perspective. Moving towards the points of discussion part. So first of all, we are going to discuss the news, then we are going to discuss the background about the COP16 and of the Convention of Biological Diversity. Then we are going to discuss about the agenda of the biodiversity, and then we are going to discuss about the practice question for prelims. Before that, you have to like, share and subscribe to the Drishti IAS channel. Moving towards the news part. So on the sidelines of the climate change meeting, we have also CBD meeting, which is the Convention of Biodiversity, and this has been also started from the Rio Earth Summit. But what we can see that we had enough discuss about the climate change, but we can see that there was a scanty discussion and scanty conferences on the biodiversity. So what we can see that on 11th of November, there was an annual meeting of the climate change, and before that we have a meeting in Colombia which is related to the biodiversity. So we are going to discuss about the meeting which is going to be held in Colombia and what are their agendas. So coming to the next one is about the background. So as I have already mentioned that in 1992 there was a Rio Earth Summit, and on this there was a rise of UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, and on the sideline we have also Convention on Biological Diversity. And then we can see that what it aims. So we already know about the climate change, but as the name suggests that biological diversity, so it is going to focus on the biological diversity and different biodiversities which are across the world. So it aims to protect global biodiversity, restore natural ecosystem, and this year meeting, the 16th conference of parties to CBD and COP16 is the first after the landmark agreement which had happened, which was finalized 2 years ago in Montreal, and that was also known as Montreal Framework. And we already know that Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, and that laid down the 4 goals and 23 targets to achieve collectively by the 2030. So before that, what was the place for the convention? So we had this Montreal, and in Montreal framework they had adopted few goals and targets. So they had decided the 4 goals, and in order to achieve these 4 goals, 23 targets have been decided. So in this session we are going to focus on the targets and agendas. So the first target is momentum for 30 into 30. And what is this momentum for 30 into 30? So it is basically that you have to conserve the biodiversity, and at least 30% you have to conserve by 2030. So this is called as momentum for 30 into 30. And with immediate effect, they had decided that they will implement such kind of the agendas. And under the Montreal framework, each country is supposed to prepare and submit their action plans. Suppose that we have in what you can say that in climate change conferences in COP, we have seen that from 2015 Paris framework, they had decided a particular target that this is our target and we are going to have this kind of plan and action. So on the basis of that, they had also decided for the 30 into 30 target that what would be your plan of action to achieve this thing. So this is also one of the thing. And we have also a body whose name is National Biodiversity Strategies and Action Plans, which is similar to nationally determined contribution, and it is just like the 2015 Paris Agreement, where there should be a time bound goals and actions being taken, and for whom and for which kind of actions we have been taken. So in order to preserve the biodiversity rich areas, the oceans, and this is a momentum, and this particular target is known as 30 into 30. So by 2030, they had decided the 30% of the conservation target. Now we'll come to the next one. Next one is about the shared genetic resources. So there is a goal of 𝐈𝐶𝐻 treaty, and 𝐈𝐶𝐻 treaty is to ensure that whatever the benefits we get from the exploitation of various resources, that should be the equally distributed. What we have seen that few countries who have a technological progress and who have dominance over the natural resources, they are the one who consume and who take advantages of the genetic resources. So a framework has been designed that it should be equally distributed because nature belongs to all. And ocean hosts a massive variety of life forms, such as what we can see, and it can be used for the, such as for the tiny microbes, giant fish, and it can be used for the medicinal purposes, commercial purposes, and scientific reasons. So this resources, microbes, and giant fish should be equally distributed across the all member countries, and it is also expected to deliver some decision on how these digital sequences can be used. So various digital resources can be formed by this, and we can see that in climate change it has been decided that it should be used by every country, and there is a framework. So on the lines of that, how digital sequence can be used by other countries for their scientific purposes, for their research, for their commercial use. So this is about the genetic resources. So we had discussed about the 30 into 30 momentum. We had discussed here about the genetic resources, where we had discussed about the 𝐈𝐶𝐻 treaty, which is for the preservation of the oceans, and also we have to take care of that how to equally distribute the genetic resources. Now we'll come to the next one, which is about the question of finance. So finance is a matter of debate and discussion in the climate change conferences also. So there is also a question of finance, that how to finance such kind of conservational activities, and if any countries has designed few plan of action, then how to proceed further. We need funds for that. So here in COP16 they are likely to establish a fund, but here they had decided that in order to achieve 23 goals which has been decided in Montreal framework, so there should be a need of $200 billion per year by the year 2030, and that developed countries should come forward, and they had to provide at least $20 billion every year to the developing countries, and it should be increased by $30 by 2030. So this is the framework they had decided, and they had also likely to establish funds so that every country should contribute, and if any country needs such kind of the things, they should be given, and there should be also the biodiversity credit in the line of carbon credit. So we need such kind of fund organization so that every country's target should be fulfilled. So these are the targets we have related to the biodiversity COP16. Now we'll come to the question round. The Convention on the Biological Diversity (CBD) originated from which of the following global summits? The Paris Agreement, the Kyoto Protocol, the Rio Earth Summit 1992, and the Copenhagen Climate Conference. This is very easy one. You have to answer this into the comment section, and you have to also remember the name of the place, that from where and this conference has been held, who are the member countries, and what is the ratification process, what is the environmental impact of the biodiversity, how it can be used or in a commercial basis for the medicinal value. So these are the few surrounding topics which is useful for your examination. So that's it for today's session. I hope you like this session. If you have queries related to the session, kindly ask in the comment section. Thank you. Have a nice day.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.